Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 26th July 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and this is my residence in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Haribol TRSV Nectar NECTAR Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of what we have all been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my other videos. So let us continue with the topic for today's discussion in this particular video. For the past few videos, we have been trying to analyze the psyche of the human living entity in this material world in one particular lifetime better and better in every video. We all know by now that there are four major factors along with other subsidiary factors which along with the permutation and combination contribute a lot to the making up of the psyche of a human living entity. Let us first talk about the subsidiary factors. The subsidiary factors are the company of the living entity, the surrounding, the atmosphere, experience, evolvement, family background, etc., which play a small part in making up the psyche of a human living entity. However, the four major factors that contribute to his or her psyche are as follows. First, it is karma, the form of karma that plays a long role in this particular building up of the psyche of the living entity is known as prarabdha karma. This prarabdha karma is nothing but a slice of unworked karma that particular living entity brings with him or her to be worked out in a particular lifetime. This prarabdha karma slice is taken from a storage of what is known as sanchit karma, which is in the subconscious of that human living entity. This Sanchit karma is actually a reservoir of unworked karma of that particular human living entity in the past few births and deaths of that particular living entity, whether male or female. As for example, if a particular living entity has taken 10,000 births as a human being in this material world before being born into this particular lifetime. In such a case, the same living entity did a lot of karma during those 10,000 births. When he did or she did, he or she worked out these karmas either in that particular lifetime itself or in the future lifetimes of that living entity. However, by the time this person came to this particular birth, he or she had a residue of unworked karma from the past 10,000 births. This residue is known as Sanchit karma. This Sanchit karma is kept in a storage in the subconscious memory of that particular living entity. When he or she tries to take a birth in a particular lifetime, he or she takes a slice of this storage, which is called prarabdha karma, to be used as a foundation for this particular birth and lifetime. He or she will now try to work out this slice of karma called prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma is the first factor that plays an important role in building up the psyche of a particular human living entity in his or her particular lifetime. That is the reason why we have varied types of people in this society, and that is because of his or her prarabdha karma. There are monks, rishis, maharishis, saints, heretics, scientists, intellectuals, professors, lecturers, teachers, researchers, then doctors, engineers, lawyers, professionals, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, goldsmith, blacksmith, ordinary workman, ordinary shopkeeper, business tycoon, etc. There is a variety of people who form part of this society, and each one of them is born according to his or her prarabdha karma. Besides this, the second factor that plays an important role in building up the psyche of that particular entity is known as Kriyamana karma. This Kriyamana karma is based on a particular free will bestowed upon every living entity during a lifetime to, to do his or her work according to his or her thoughts, tastes, preferences, whims, fantasies, surroundings, and atmosphere in a particular living lifetime. As for example, an intellectual or an electrician who has come with a prarabdha karma of an electrician may be given a free will to do the work of a researcher in a particular lifetime. In that process, what happens is, though he was or she was born as an electrician, he or she got an opportunity to evolve further as a researcher on the electrical science of the society in this material world. This improves the psyche of that particular living entity. This is just a crude example of how human beings evolve during a lifetime. There are several such instances that can be quoted to show you how a psyche of a particular person evolves. The third factor is the vibration from the subtle body. There are four layers of bodies in the living entity which are used to envelop the spirit soul that this particular living entity originally is. These four layers of body are totally material, but of them three are made up of ether and hence are quite subtle. The fourth is the gross one, which is used to identify a living entity in a particular society. These three layers of subtle body are known as causal body of intelligence and logic, astral body of feelings and emotions, and etheric body of five senses, namely sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Vibrations emanate out of each subtle body in the overall body of a living entity. These emanations are continuous, starting with the birth of that living entity and ending at the death of that living entity. These emanations reach a mass of tissue called brain, which is in the cranium of a living entity's gross body. This brain is the main receiving center for all vibrations from all the three subtle bodies of that living entity. When the brain receives these vibrations, then, according to its own evolvement and other factors, it selects or rejects some vibration from some subtle body. As for example, 75% of the brain uses 75% of its energy in processing, chewing, and masticating vibrations from the etheric senses body among the subtle bodies. Only 20% of the brain uses the vibrations from the astral body of the of feelings and emotions of that particular living entity. And The remaining five are used by the brain to process emanations from the causal body of intelligence. Anyway, after chewing, masticating, and processing these vibrations, the brain transmits them into the gross body of that particular living entity. In other words, the actual result of such mastication is percolated down the gross body of that living entity. This makes him or her react to a situation in this material world in a lifetime. As for example, if the vibrations are from the causal body more than they are from the astral mind or etheric senses, this particular living entity will, after they have been percolated through the brain into the gross body, will try to behave like an intellectual. On the other hand, if they are sensual and are from the etheric senses, then the same living entity will work according to the vibrations from the etheric senses. Same will happen if these vibrations are from the astral body of feelings and emotions. Such people are quite contemplative and creative, emotional, musical, etc. Now, these vibrations play a lot of role in making up the psyche of the living entity. Now we have three major factors: prarabdha karma, kriyamana karma, and the vibrations from the subtle body. Along with this, there is a fourth factor which actually acts as a catalyst in making up the psyche of that particular living entity in a lifetime. Mainly, this is what is known as false ego. False ego is when the living entity, who is originally a spirit soul and who has been enveloped by four layers of material body, identifies himself or herself with that particular material body. In such a case, this ego emanating out of such thought acts as a catalyst to process the overall psyche of that living entity. In other words, the ego of a scientist, a researcher, an educationist, a professor, a lecturer, an electrician, a carpenter, a goldsmith, a blacksmith, a shopkeeper, hawker, or trader, etc., are very, very different because they are based on his or her body of that lifetime. Thus, there are four major factors that decide on the psyche of a particular living entity. That said, we have been discussing about several case histories which have made us understand the psyche of every human living entity. In that process, today we shall discuss about another such case history which will authenticate this theory of psyche of a living entity. Probably this story in another form was used by me in some other topic in one of my videos, but here this story is being narrated only to understand the psyche of a human living entity better than we have done till now. So let us proceed. In Pakistan, which is in the subcontinent of India, there was one barrister who was born there some 50-60 years ago. This person had a very successful and flourishing career as a barrister in the Pakistani courts. This man made money hand over fist. This guy was not only intelligent and successful, but he was also genuinely nice as a person. This guy got married and a son was born to him who he christened as Arshad. I'm using this synonym Arshad or pseudonym Arshad to hide the real identity of this protagonist of this true story. Now, Arshad was born in a lap of luxury and comfort in that barrister's house. To cap it all, he was the only child of the barrister and his wife. This made this boy an apple of the eye of his doting mother. The father was not so indulgent in love and affection, but he was always busy making money for the family. As a result of which, Arshad was brought up literally by his doting mother. This made this boy slowly a conceited and spoiled brat. Arshad was not only rich and wealthy, but he also grew up as an extremely handsome boy. He was a young man, very handsome, when his mother was accosted by another woman. This woman and Arshad's mother were childhood friends. When these two women were just girls, they probably laughingly decided that their respective kids will marry each other when the right time comes. This was long forgotten when Arshad's mother married the barrister and got a son called Arshad. However, this second woman was not so lucky. Not only was she financially not as strong as Arshad and his family, but she was widowed early and was left with a plain Jane looking daughter. By this time, Arshad, who had grown up in luxury, comfort, and success, and because of his own mother's doting eye, had become very vain, narcissistic, conceited, cunning, and superiority complex ridden. Harsh's noble mother remembered the promise that she had given to her own best friend when they were two little young girls. She promised to her that this widow's only plain Jane looking daughter will marry Arshad. Arshad was not aware of this promise from his mother. This girl, who was a plain Jane, had done some study, some education, and was struggling to make both ends meet when her mother met Arshad's mother for the first time. By this time, the father of Arshad, who was a barrister, had come to know about his own son's true colors, and he had become more and more skeptical about the character of his own son. The father neither trusted nor loved or liked this boy Arshad very much by then. When Arshad came to know about this promise, he laughed. He laughed sarcastically. He was so handsome, good looking, beautiful, wealthy, and successful that he could not imagine marrying a plain Jane like that little girl. He harangued his mother for having taken such a stupid decision and for presuming that he will play ball along with his mother. The mother was shocked. So was the other woman and her daughter. Arshad curtly and cruelly refused to marry this girl at that time. This made everyone distraught except Arshad. The barrister father was so angry with Arshad that he stopped talking to this boy henceforth. But somehow Arshad was being favored by Lady Luck at that time. A few months later, this barrister unfortunately expired. By that time, this woman or widowed woman was left high and dry because of Arshad's skirt decision, had left Arshad's house for some unknown place in Pakistan to live her humble and noble life during this lifetime. This shows how the prarabdha karma of a human being works. Arshad has had probably done something really great in his past few lifetimes, as a result of which the slice of prarabdha karma that he was born with in this lifetime had made him being born in a successful barrister's family and get a very handsome and beautiful build and face. This boy, because of his prarabdha karma, lived a life of comfort and luxury, and was made to be vain and conceited enough to reject the hand of marriage from that plain, yearned, little innocent girl. His luck was still running high because of his prarabdha karma. His father expired, and then he and his mother started living off the father's storage or saved wealth, and they lived comfortably for some time till ultimately the mother also died. Now Arshad had come into a lot of money, wealth, and nobody to stop him, protect him, or to chastise him. This was all his prarabdha karma. But now his free will began showing its fangs, and henceforth whatever he would do would be his kriyamana karma. Arshad became a spoilt brat which he was already born as, plus a conceited and luxury oriented wastrel who started squandering his father's hard earned money. Slowly but steadily, he began squandering his father's money in all sorts of vices and on not so savory company in Pakistan. This was all his Kriyaman karma in this lifetime. He became a drunkard, a smoker, a drug addict, and a gambler, plus a person who frequented the red light area very often. This made him waste all the hard earned money of his father, till a day came when he was left with little over his father's savings. This money, which was remaining, he wasted on gambling to which he had become addicted by then. Sometimes he lost and sometimes he won in gambling, but the habit was such that it was not allowing, or it was not letting this man go away from its clasp, its evil clasp. One day, slowly but steadily, Arshad lost all his money, and during a raid was caught by the police of Pakistan during one of its routine raids in a gambling den. We shall continue with this story in my next video. Till then, let us wait and process the fact that we have got through this story in this particular video. This case history gives us a very good idea of how good, bad, responsible, or irresponsible our Kriyamana karma may be. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter in this particular video. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular case history. Please give me your own expert opinions, thoughts, and ideas plus views so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.